Hi, Jimmy Cannon here, singer and voice coach, nurturing confidence through the power of the voice to deliver your message with presence and authority. In part 1, we spoke about how to connect the sound to the breath. And I'll put a link up above. If you haven't seen it already, please do watch that before we continue. In part 2, I want to think about how much breath you need for speaking. So tip 1 is to plan your breath. How much breath do you need before a sentence or paragraph? Do you need a short breath? Does it need to be a long breath because you've got a lot of words coming up? You've got a big paragraph that you want to say. One exercise is the sipping exercise. And I want you to take your hand, imagine that you've got a nice, you're in Italy, Italia, and you're sitting in a cafe and you've got your espresso cup here and you're going to sip. You're going to take a few sips and it's going to be 4 sips. So I want you to do it very quickly. And then out. And that's for a little tiny breath. That's just enough breath to say a sentence that might be, depending on how you can control your breath, about that long. So that's maybe a sentence or 2 sentences. You don't need a lot of breath. It's just about the control of the out breath, actually. So here we go again. So we're going to do it one more time. So take 4 sips in, short breaths, and then short out. So now let's do 8 of those. So, and then out, and that's 8. So that's quite a medium amount of breath. And you might find it quite tricky to do the inhale. So practice that. Now, as you're doing that, your belly is dropping out, it's releasing, your diaphragm's contracting, allowing your lungs to expand. So it's a really good practice to do to get enough air in your lungs to use and control the amount of breath. So this is really about thinking about how much breath do you need to say the sentence or paragraph that you have coming up. So tip number 2, and there are only 3 tips. So tip number 2 is breath marks, where to breathe. And what you can do is you can look at your presentation and you can literally put in, and we do this when we're reading music, by the way, a bit of a musical metaphor. When we're playing instrument and we're reading or we're singing, we put breath marks in, and that might be to coincide with what the rest of the ensemble is doing, and we all want to maybe breathe at the right time, or perhaps we want to take a breath intermittently so we're not all breathing at the same time. There's loads of reasons for doing that. Music is, generally speaking, just finding the right place to take a breath after each phrase. So it might be fa ba dee ba da ba doo da da doo da doo da doo doo da da doo dee 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 da doo dee dee, or it might be la da 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 da. It wouldn't be that, but it's you get the idea. So it could be right at the end of the phrase, or it could be every bar, or it could be every 4 bars, or it could be every 8 bars. The best thing to do is to, when you're speaking, is to look at the content and see when the most natural place is to breathe, and put a little bit of a tick. Put a little tick at the end there and plan to breathe there. So for instance, when we're looking at speech, it's generally at the end of a sentence, at the end of a paragraph. So just put a tick there to just remind you of where to breathe. Tip number 3 is to breathe in through the nose, much like this. And that gives you a little bit more time to think about what you're going to say, and also for the listener to take in what you just said. It takes its principle from the Buteyko Method, which is a Russian method of effective and healthy breathing, which I think would be a really good idea for you to look up. And it's something that I've been, as you can see, I'm still breathing through my mouth. It's something that I've been thinking about doing for a while because it really connects to the abdominal muscles here and gives you a much better and clearer and much deeper breath when you're speaking. So have a look at that. It's called the Buteyko Method. I'll put a link in the comments. Please let me know how you get on with that, and also how you get on with the other 2 tips. So just to recap, tip number 1 is to plan your breath. Think about how much breath you need for each sentence. Tip number 2 is to mark the breath. So breath marks, where you're going to breathe in your speech. That will give you an idea. And that, in fact, that will just tell you when you're going to breathe without thinking about it. So when you're practicing and rehearsing your speech, you don't have to think about it, and you can just concentrate on the content, which is the most important thing, getting your message across to your audience. And tip number 3 is to breathe in through your nose. Try it. I think you'll find that gives you more space in your lungs, and it gives you a deeper breath and also more time, again, for you and for your listener. If you enjoy those tips, please consider subscribing. In fact, don't even consider, subscribe, and I will give you each week loads of tips about speaking in public and the voice. Speak soon.